$1.8 million. That's how much an employee in Ontario got in this case. And I'm going to explain to you how he did it. How's it going, guys? Andre Issa here, your friendly neighborhood employment lawyer. And today we're going to be talking about the case of Boyer and what are the lessons, the key takeaways for employees in Ontario. But before we get into it, guys, as always, a brief legal disclaimer. None of what I'm about to say constitutes legal advice. It's just legal information. If you have an issue going on at your workplace, you can contact me or any other lawyer in Ontario. Now, with that out of the way, let's get right into it. So, this employee was the vice president of the company, and he had been working there for a few years. He decides eventually that he wants to retire. So he gives working notice to his employer, and upon giving him his notice, he notices that people start to turn on him. There is a shift in the overall work environment, and things, according to him, start to turn toxic. So instead of waiting till his final working day, he decides to quit in advance of that because he can't take it anymore. Upon quitting, he decides to sue for constructive dismissal. What that means is, I've talked about this in another video, but a constructive dismissal is essentially a fundamental change to your employment contract that essentially amounts to your employer firing you without them actually telling you that. So that could include, for example, a toxic workplace, because employees in Ontario are entitled to civility, dignity, and respect at their workplace. And if there's a toxic workplace, if it's so toxic, that might amount to a breach of that term, and therefore a fundamental breach of your employment contract, or a constructive dismissal for short. What's the employer's position? Well, the employer argues that they don't owe the employee any money because he resigned voluntarily. He told them that he wants to retire, and so therefore they don't owe him any money. Employee says, no, you owe me stock options, unused vacation pay, unpaid bonuses, which in total amount to around $1.8 million. So the $1.8 million question is, what does the court decide? Well, a few things. Number one, the court argues that there was not enough evidence to prove that the employee was constructively dismissed, not enough evidence to prove that there was a toxic workplace, and so the employee had resigned voluntarily because he wanted to retire. However, just because he resigned voluntarily for retirement, that does not mean that he lost his entitlement to that $1.8 million. The court still decided to award him that money. Why? Because there was no written employment contract. So it was unclear, according to the terms of the agreement, what exactly happens should the employee resign. And so because it was unclear, the court decided to award the employee the monetary value of the stock options, as well as the unpaid bonuses and the unused vacation pay, which in total amounted to around $1.8 million. So what's the key takeaway here for employees? Well, just because you're retiring, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're losing the right to all these perks in your compensation package, assuming you have those, such as stock options, unpaid bonuses, and unused vacation pay. That's particularly true, as in this case, if you had a oral employment contract instead of a written employment contract. The only way to know for certain what exactly happens to those perks upon retirement is if you contact an employment lawyer, and we would be able to review your situation and let you know if you're entitled to money, and if so, how much. For more information, I'm an employment lawyer in Ontario. Contact me today with your workplace issues. This has been Andre Issa, your friendly neighborhood employment lawyer. Until next time.